Hello students, welcome back to your geography lesson. So we are learning about manufacturing industries, and last class we saw agro-based industries. Those were industries that use agricultural produce as inputs. Today we will learn about industries that use minerals and metals as raw materials. These industries that use minerals and metals as raw materials are called mineral-based industries. Can you think of a few mineral-based industries? Iron and steel industries, aluminium smelting, chemical industries, fertilizer industries, cement industries, automobile industries, IT and electronic industries. All these are mineral-based industries because they all require metals and minerals as raw material. Now, we will look at iron and steel industries today. The iron and steel industry is the basic industries since all other industries that are heavy, medium and light depend on it for the machinery. Okay, so steel is needed to manufacture a variety of engineering goods, construction material, defense, medical equipment, telephonic, scientific equipment, variety of consumer goods are all, steel is a major part of all of these. So production and consumption of steel is often regarded as the index of a country's development. Most iron and steel is a heavy industry. Why? Because all the raw material as well as the finished goods are heavy and bulky, and so they also give a heavy transportation cost. Iron ore, cooking coal, limestone, these are required in the ratio of around 4:2:1. And some quantities of manganese is also required to harden the steel. So where do you think should a steel plant be ideally located? Finished products also need efficient transport network for their distribution to the market and the consumers. So keeping this in mind, you can say that this industry should be at such a place where transport is easily available and they're also close to the iron ore. Correct? So most of the steel plants are located in the Chota Nagpur region because if you remember Chota Nagpur plateau, it has most of the iron ores mines over there. Today's steel industry in India are facing many problems. So there is high cost of production, there is limited availability of cooking coal, low productivity of the labor, irregular supply of energy, raw materials are found only in certain pockets of India. There is poor infrastructure like transport and communication, etc. So, in spite of large quantity of production of steel, per capita consumption per annum is only 32 kgs. We have 32.8 million tons of steel production. We rank ninth amongst the world in the crude steel producers. We are the largest producers of sponge iron. But despite all this, our per capita consumption is only 32 kg. So why is our per capita consumption of steel so low? So when we will talk about the consumption later, let's look at the location. Why is the iron and steel industry located in the peninsular India? Why? Because it should be ideally located at a place where it is close to the raw materials, there is efficient transport, and there is a good market and consumers around. So good and more raw material, large quantities of uh, good quality of iron and steel is available in the peninsular India. Coal, oil, water, these are also available in the peninsular India, which is a power resource. We have cheap and skilled labor, okay, and it can also be had from Bihar, Orissa, West Bengal, MP, okay, and skilled labor is also available. Okay, one is cheap and skilled labor, and the other is skilled labor. Also, it is very near to the market. Large indigenous markets are available. Okay, and then we have port facilities. They are available for the export of iron and steel of manufactured products. So all these may, he- all these are the reasons why this industry is located in the peninsular part. Now, in this map, you can see the location. You can see the iron and steel plants of the India, and you can see how they are mostly near the Chota Nagpur plateau, or you can see a few at the bottom, which is in the peninsular plateau, Deccan plateau. Yes. So now, how is this iron and steel processed? First, raw material is brought to the plant. Then this iron ore is melted. Limestone is a fluxing material, so that is added. Slag is removed. Coke is burnt to heat the ore. After this, molten matters are poured into molds, which are called pigs. Then this pig iron, when it's poured into these molds, which are called pig, it's the term used is pig iron. This pig iron is further purified by melting and oxidizing the impurities. Manganese, nickel, and chromium are added to harden the steel. And finally, there is rolling, pressing, casting, and forging. Okay, so all these processes, they require lots of input, they require lots of power, labor, and so these industries are basically in the plateau region where they get their raw material easily. But today, the steel industries in India, they are facing lots of problems. There is a high cost of production, or there's less availability of cooking oil, there's low productivity of labor, not good supply of energy. Raw materials are found only in certain pockets, and poor infrastructure and communication and transport. All these are making the industry face lots of challenges. Presently, there are 10 primarily integrated and many mini steel plants in India. Okay, so mini steel plants are basically smaller. They have electric furnaces and they use steel scrap and sponge iron. They have re-rollers that use steel ingots as well, and they produce mild and alloy steel of given specification. Okay, and what is an integrated steel plant? Integrated steel plant is large. It handles everything in one complex, from putting together raw material to steel making, rolling, and shaping. All of it happens together. Now, all public sector undertakings market their steel to Steel Authority of India, that is SAIL, while TISCO markets its produce to Tata Steel. So public sector will market their products through SAIL, and TISCO, which is a private sector of Tata, it markets through Tata Steel. In 1950, India and China produced almost the same quantity of steel. But today, China is the largest producer. China is also the world's largest consumer of steel. In 2004, India was the largest exporter of steel, so we accounted for 2.25% of the global steel trade. Now, Chota Nagpur Plateau region, this has the maximum concentration of iron and steel industry. That is because of lots of advantages in this region. Low cost of iron ore, high-grade raw materials, cheap labor, vast growth potential, especially in their home market. So India is an important iron and steel producing country in the world, but we are not able to perform our potential fully because of all these challenges, that is high cost and limited availability of cooking coal, lower productivity of labor, irregular supply of energy, poor infrastructure. So because of all this, we India is not able to fully utilize its potential. We are not able to perform to our full potential. Okay. We also import good quality steel from other countries, but overall production of steel is sufficient to meet the domestic demands of India. Liberalization and foreign direct investment, they have boosted the industry with the efforts of private entrepreneurs. There is a need to allocate resources for research and development to produce steel more computatively. Okay, so with this, we will end iron and steel industries. You all have learned uh, what are these industries, which part, how iron steel is made, what is the ratio that we require goods. You saw the entire process, and then we spoke about why it is in the Chota Nagpur region and why it is mainly in the peninsular India. And then we spoke about the challenges that India is facing in this iron and steel industries today. Now, with this, we will end this class, this chapter today over here. And I want you all to open your map books and mark one political map with its state and capitals. Yes? Okay, so what I want you all to do is I want you all to do one map. Okay, I want you all to take a political map of India and I want you all to mark all the states with their capitals. I hope you all know the rules of the map work. You will use a black ballpoint pen to label the places. All places will be in block capital letters only. You will use the correct symbols and the correct color keys to indicate your marking. All labels must be made with a wise use of arrows, and the writing should always be horizontal. Always keep the atlas open when you are marking any place. And you will use color pencils aesthetically to color code your locations. Okay? Please read this slide 2 times if you have any trouble. Now, this is a picture. I want you all to open your atlas. Keep your atlas open while you are marking the states with their capitals. Okay? This is what you're going to do today. This is your work. Okay? Make sure you're doing this. So with this, I end today's class. Stay home, stay safe, take care, and keep learning. Thank you.